Hello, everybody.
Excellent!
Hello, welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to The Boring Company. I'm coming to you today with what could be my most explosive video of all time. It is a comeback video, and I am responding to a video that was made about The Boring Company by someone you may well have heard of. Let's have a look. Yes. I decided that I needed to respond to this video. It's very important that I respond to this video. It's very important that I respond to this video in a very objective and fair way. Look at the information that has been provided by Thunderf00t and critique the areas that I believe are either misconceptions, mistruths, or just plain wrong. And I'm going to do it in a very, very fair way. Essentially what I'm doing today is I am punching the hornet's nest. Yeah? I have thought about this for a long while. Is this a good idea? Because this man here is a dangerous man. Yeah? And in fact, I actually enjoy watching a lot of this guy's videos. You may have heard of him. His name is Phil Mason. Yeah? Solar freaking roadways. So, what a terrible idea. Plastic roads, even worse. Triton Artificial Gill, and all his videos on creationists, which I really quite enjoyed. But he is not a fan of The Boring Company or Elon Musk, which is a great shame, really, because, you know, he's a scientist, and you'd think that he might have some appreciation for what Elon Musk has been doing the last sort of 20 years or so. So we look at the video. He says various things, and he shows this this video here of the system, a simulation that I have seen on Twitter, but I've not actually talked about. So first of all, I looked at this and I thought, oh, there's that simulation that Phil Harrison produced on YouTube. And I looked at it and I said, oh look, there's let's just mark it up. Here's some Model X's. So straight away I can see from this that this is the second iteration of the simulation. So this is not the one that I have talked about, and this is not really what the system is. This is a stress test involving some modifications to the system, so it doesn't actually exist in reality. It's just a stress test. That's essentially what it is. So I've not really talked about this system because I'm not really amazingly I just don't think that it's a good idea to really talk about theoretical modifications to systems. What we should be talking about is what is actually being built in Las Vegas. So yeah, so if you look at this one, as you can see, there are lots and lots of people here, lots of Model X's, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 escalators. Well, this is not the system that I was talking about in my video. And then Phil Mason has quoted me in his video as praising this system, which I have not done. I have not done that. So straight away he's misquoting me, because you can tell that this is a totally different simulation. These vehicles here are Tesla Model S's. It's a totally different vehicle in the system. The layout of the system is slightly different. The speed limits in the system are totally different. So it's just a bit of it's a mistruth what he's stating here, that I am praising the system that he is quoting. It's a totally different simulation. And if you don't believe me, here it is in black and white. So this is the system, or the simulation, that I have been talking about. And he's been talking about this one. So straight away, Thunderf00t is getting a little bit confused. Maybe he looked at that and he assumed they were both the same. I don't know. It might have been a simple mistake like that. Maybe he's trying to bend the truth. I really don't know. I don't care really, because I have been talking about this system here. Yeah? It's totally different simulation. Okay, so we've got that out of the way. So we're watching the video and I've noticed my face has come up and I'm like, I'm not sure really why I'm on this video. But then he brings up the simulation and he drops it onto Google Maps. And I'm looking at it, I think, okay, that's, reasonable. That's, 98% correct. There's a few, the designs have changed slightly. You're looking at something that's not quite up to date, but it's fairly up to date. So that's good. So he's looking at this, and then he does something quite bizarre, really quite bizarre. He drops the marker on this road over here. He said, let's have a look and see if there's something we can take from real life and just compare it. And I just thought, are you comparing this road to this road? It's nothing the same. It's totally different. Look at the shape of the road here. It is far from straight. You're going from one curve into another curve. You've got a junction here. You've got a residential estate here. It's, it's a very, very unfair comparison. So here he is. He's put that on there. Where is our actual route of the Las Vegas people mover? Well, it is here. And then he drops his marker over here on Joe W. Brown Drive. So, well, that's not really a great example, really. Because you've got 2 lanes of traffic. There's no separation in between them. There's lots of reasons why you wouldn't be driving fast on this road. And as you can see here, there is a junction here where people are going to be turning left and right. It doesn't really bode well to have a high speed limit in this particular area. So it's just a poor example of a road to compare it with. Then, this blows my mind, this bit. He starts quoting the speed limit sign here. Well, the speed limit sign is generally not really, it doesn't come about because people do a study of what the maximum velocity you can go down this road at. It's nothing to do with that. They're working out the worst case scenario. What they're looking at is what happens if there's low visibility, what happens if there's a truck or a bus going down this road, what happens if the road is icy, what happens if there's pedestrians crossing the road, what happens if there's cars going through red lights and things like this. So the worst case scenario, all these things are potentially going to happen, so they take the safe approach and they set the speed limit at 25 miles per hour, which is probably sensible for this particular residential area. It's not a good way to build an argument is to say this speed limit says 25 miles per hour, therefore the Boring Company system is going to be limited in the corners to 25-30 miles per hour. That's a bogus argument, and really it's just a terrible way to try and build an argument that the Boring Company system isn't going to reach the speeds that it's been talking about. Now I'm going to give you the speeds later on in this video, and it's going to show you exactly how fast vehicles are going to go through the system. Very, very accurate because I've pulled it off the actual plans and done some calculations. But using a speed limit sign to determine how fast you can go inside a tunnel is pretty damn silly, if you're going to ask me. It's a fallacy to use that. So it's not a great example, not a great start from Thunderf00t there. Anyway, so how can we use some facts, basically, to look at this and say, hey, what is the actual maximum speed we can go around a corner? So this is a particularly nice country road that I use regularly when I go and see my mum and dad. I can take the motorway, or I can do part of it along this route here, which is a lovely road with lots of views across Bolton and Lancashire. And it's a national speed limit road. And I don't know if you can see here, but there is a nice corner in this area here. Perfect corner. And I quite like going on this route because I drive quite fast, and yeah, this particular corner is exciting because it's quite a tight corner. So I thought, well, this is national speed limit, so that's a good high speed. Let's compare this route to the Boeing Company Las Vegas loop. So first of all, we need to calculate, you know, what is the radius of this curve here? Well, it's quite difficult to pull it off Google Maps, although, you know, Phil Mason kind of did that with the video. So we're just going to copy what Phil Mason did, and we're just going to do that. So this is Walkerfold Road in Bolton. As you can see, I've dropped a square on here, and each side of this square is 45 meters long. And then I'm going to calculate the radius of the curve here on Walkerfold Road. Then I'm going to tell you about the speed limit or the speeds that I go around this corner, like every other week, if not more often than that. So, but looking at this, you dropped our square on there, and we've calculated the radius of that curve. I'm pulling off around 41 meters, but just to be safe, because the markings are not quite as accurate as I'd like them to be, it's around 43 meters in radius, this particular curve. So it's not excessively tight, but it's fairly tight. It's a good curve. You know, and I go around this fairly often, and it's a national speed. It's national speed limit along this area of road. How fast can I go round this road? Well, I did this 2 days ago. So what I did was, first of all, I went round it at what I thought was a sensible-ish speed. So I went round it around, let me change my pen. It's going to let me. So I did 36 to begin with. That's not great, is it? I did 36 miles per hour to begin with. Easy. I went round that corner, 43 meter radius at 36 miles per hour. So then I tried 40 miles per hour. Absolutely fine. I went round the corner just fine. No issues, you know, the back end of the car. No, my car is not some kind of sports car. You know, my car is just kind of your general run-of-the-mill sedan. So I thought, well, how fast could I go around this corner? And I actually did do it around 36 miles per hour. Although at that point, it's a little bit, you can feel the back end of the car moving at around 46, 47 miles per hour. So I think for a corner like this, around 42 miles per hour is not too bad. So 42 miles per hour at 43 meter radius, you know, you can pull off numbers from that. But I think 42 miles per hour for this radius of corner is very safe, and I would be happy doing that. And remember, the actual system here in Las Vegas, you're going to use a very high performance vehicle. The tires on that vehicle are going to be super grippy. The actual road deck is going to be very, very dry. Yeah, when I was doing these tests 2 days ago, it was icy and wet. So maybe I could go a bit faster, but I didn't want to risk it. And also, you know, the traffic is segregated, and the route is known. The speeds that you could do in this system are going to be quite high, even compared to motorway standards. So let's have a look at our route map. So here's our updated route map. This is the most recent one. As you can see, I've drawn our triangle, our square here, which I'm going to extend here like this. So I've drawn our square on here, and what we want to do is we want to calculate that there. We want to calculate what the radius is of that curve. Is it going to be more than the curve at Walkerfold Road? That's the question. I'll have you know, it's a lot more. A lot more. So when Phil Mason is coming on and he's saying, hey, you can't go around this corner, it's going to be very tight and very uncomfortable, and it's potentially, you know, I'm worried that it could be dangerous, and I'm not sure they're going to do it. Well, when he says things like he's not sure, he actually is not sure. I can tell you the numbers today. The numbers today are very, very good. So let's first work out the radius of this corner. So it's about 260 meters vertical, and then we do another 260 meters across here. And that drops us on our square here, our perfect square at the Las Vegas Convention Center. So what is the radius there? What actually is it? So we know that we can go around the corner at 42 miles per hour. That's 43 meter radius. Yeah. This is 260 meter radius. Yes, 260 meters, and I'm very confident that that is accurate to within 2 to 3%. Yeah. So it's somewhere in the region of 254 to 266, something in that kind of ballpark. Yeah, so 260 meters. That means you're going to be able to go around the corner at quite high speeds, because remember, you've got a high performance car, you've got high performance tyres, so they're very grippy, you've got a very grippy surface, and also you don't need to worry about weather conditions, because the tunnel floor, the tunnel road deck, is going to be very, very dry. So all those things add up to some high speed running through this system. Here's a quick criticism of this system, because I'm going to try and be objective and fair here. This system is not long enough. I would much rather have a system that's about 1.1 miles long or 1.4 miles long. There's a lot more you could do with a system that was 1.4 miles long. Yeah, that would increase the top speeds a lot more, and you'd do a lot more braking, so you'd have less wear and tear on the brake discs. Even with regenerative braking, you're going to have to use traditional brake discs on this system. So, like, the problem is no one on YouTube and no one in the media has any idea what the top speeds are going to be on this system in Las Vegas. Today, I'm going to tell you what the speeds are going to be at various points. I don't know if you can see these dots here. So these little dots indicate vehicles. And these vehicles are traveling through the system. And we've just taken, and there's another one. We've just taken a snapshot of the actual top speed that these vehicles have reached at this point in the system. So these can be individual vehicles all using the system at the same time. It doesn't really matter. For this example, and this is very, very, I'm going to be absolutely crystal clear with you. This example involves going from station 1 here and going to station 2 here. So you're going from here to there, yeah? You're not stopping here at this station, because most vehicles are not going to be stopping at this station. Some are going to be, and some also. Remember, some vehicles can come here and then they can do that. They can do a U-turn like that, yeah? Because there's a turnaround here. So you don't need to go into traffic with this particular plan. So people are saying that vehicles can't go through the station at high speed. They're not aware of how this station is going to operate. There's going to be exit windows. So you'll have 30 seconds where you can't exit from that station. Yeah, no vehicle will be allowed to exit from that station for 30 seconds. And then vehicles will be able to go through there at fairly high speeds. And then you'll have a 30-second window where you can exit that station, where you've got like a clear run, as it were, and that'll be timed out. There's not going to be some random, it's not random. It's all set out. There's actual timings of when vehicles are going to be entering and exiting the system, and passengers are fed into the vehicles via stewards. So you've got 4 or 5 passengers, and they're loaded into the vehicle. And once that's completed, the steward then clears the vehicle to leave, and then he has a window. That vehicle has a window then to exit the station in a safe way without worrying about cars going through. So we've gone a bit off track there, but I'm going to tell you now about the various speed limits at these various points, okay? So this is the direction of travel. It's not stopping at station 2. Here are our indicators where the cars are. This is what the speeds are going to be at these various points in the system. So as you can see, it gets just beyond motorway speeds. The reason it's not super high is because the system is quite short, unfortunately. This is the best that you could do. If this was done with a train, for example, and I'm going to come on to trains in a moment, the top speed in the system would be around 30-35 miles per hour. Maybe 38 miles per hour at best, because trains have to stop and start all the time, very, very heavy, and acceleration's not amazing. So, using Tesla vehicles is the best way to run a system of this size. So, as you can see, when this vehicle is coming around this corner here, in this area, it's getting up to 48 miles per hour. As it's coming out of the corner and it hits this straight here, it's going to be able to get up to about 68 miles per hour, 65 miles per hour, that kind of ballpark. It maintains that speed along here, and then as it gets up to here, it begins to slow down. As it enters the station, its speed is limited to 22 miles per hour. It's passing through the station, so it's not going to be going excessively fast. In the event that something goes wrong at 22 miles per hour, the vehicle can stop quite quickly. It then gets up to speed. As soon as it gets within 20 foot of the tunnel exit, it starts accelerating again. It can accelerate in the station, but only when it gets close to the exit. Gets up to 49 miles per hour at this point here. At this point here, because this is it looks like it's a decent curve, but it's not really. The radius of this curve is like 900, 1,000 meters easily. So it's fine. It can go along here. It gets up to 74 miles per hour. It cruises along here around 71, 72 miles per hour. At this point, it's going to start to slow down, so it gets to 48, and then as it comes into the station, which actually goes like that, it will slow down, 30, 20, 15, and then it goes around 12, 15 miles per hour. So those are the actual speeds. If you think that this is incorrect, let's do a wager. Let's do a bet. DM me on Twitter. I'll happily take your money off you. I'm happy to do bets. $100, $200, $500 if you really want to, take me on. I know from good authority that these numbers are extremely accurate. So, if you think I'm wrong, put your money where your mouth is and DM me. If not, then shut up. Okay. So I think that Phil Mason doesn't talk about speeds. He doesn't mention... In fact, he does actually. He puts on his video title that maybe 40 miles per hour is possible. Well, that's fucking stupid. Because, as you can see, we're going 48 there, 49, 53, 68. So, and 48 here as well. So, most of the system is well above what he's predicting it will be. And there'll be lots and lots and lots of vehicles going through the system at any one time. So... we've dispelled that myth, It's a fallacy that the curves in the system are, restricting the speed to very low levels. That's a fallacy, So we know that now based on what I've just told you. Now, he puts this graphic up, and I have a lot of problems with this as well. First of all, how would this fit inside the Las Vegas loop system? So the platform at Station 2 is about... it's about 400 to 500 foot long, maybe slightly. Let's say 450. That's, this train is a lot longer than that. Each one of these carriages is 80 foot long, maybe 70 foot. So that's not really, you'd have to extend that station. Also, you're never going to run a system with one train. How would you run a system with one train? You'd at least have 3 trains. So these numbers are not really too accurate. Another thing to remember is that one car can probably drive through this system twice before this train has even, got to the end of the track, almost. Because you've got to remember, these trains take a long time to accelerate. They don't turn around. They have 2 driver's cabs. They have a driver's cab here, and they have a driver's cab here. So when you get to your end destination, you're straight away going to lose 45 seconds before this guy has even got. So when he pulls up at his destination, the train driver then has to get out and he has to walk all the way down here, and he has to set up his cab, and he has to, check his systems, and he has to open his window, and by the time he's actually put his key in and he started the train, that's 45 seconds gone. So it's crazy, because one car is going to go through the system in about 80 seconds, and then it's going to go back the other way. Well, it's already gone pretty much, halfway down in the opposite direction before this train has even started moving. So to say it's and it's not even 300 cars in this system, it's around 70 to 80 cars in this system. So it's not a fair and objective comparison to say one train. It's no, it's not. For this system, what works best is having lots and lots of vehicles turn up very, very quickly, and then no one needs to wait. If you have one train in the system, it takes 2 minutes to go here, and then other people are waiting, and then it goes here, and then it goes there, and then you've had to wait, 6 or 7 minutes to get on a train. Whereas here, you might have to wait, 10, 15 seconds, if that, probably less than 10 seconds. So I just don't think this is a good way of looking at this, personally. I mean, if you think that you can compete with the Boeing company, go and build a train system alongside it and put the Boeing company out of business. But you can't do that, can you? Because we've already won the contract. So I think, being fair, I understand this criticism is that there is failure points. But you've got to remember that an electric vehicle is a lot more reliable than an internal combustion engine. Maybe 70 to 80% more reliable. Most cars are not breaking down all the time, very rarely. And a good car will go, 150,000 miles before developing any kind of, reasonable or bad issue with the drivetrain. So I just don't think that failures will occur that often. And when they do occur, they may be months and months and months apart. So again, I'm not sure that's a great way of looking at it. But I can understand that, yes, cars can go wrong, things can happen, and you could potentially have issues. But it's going to be so rare that it's not really worth factoring that into your argument, to be frank with you. So what really are the numbers here? So if we were going to compare it, if we were going to do kind of a train system that compares with what the Las Vegas loop is attempting to do, you'd probably divide this train up into, maybe you'd do that and then you'd add an extra carriage on as well. So you'd have 4 trains. So really, in reality, if you're trying to compete with this and you're trying to do it with trains, you'd have 4 metro trains or 4 trams. So you'd need 4 drivers. Yes, I know these vehicles initially will technically have someone sat in the driving seat. They will not be driving the vehicle very much. It will be on autopilot 98 to 99% of the time. In September of this year, autopilot will take over all driving within the Las Vegas loop. That's well known now. That's a well-known fact, is that drivers will not be needed after September. So let's just assume that it is September and all these cars have autonomous systems installed level 4. Well, really, you only need around, let's say 72, let's say for safety, let's say 74 vehicles. But you'd need 1, 2, 3, 4. You need 4 trains. So again, that is a much more fair comparison. How do we get this 74 down? That's another good question. How do we get it down to around 50? So that would be a better number for us, wouldn't it? Well, what you do is you introduce a vehicle with more seating. So this is an example of a vehicle that I've shown in the past, and potentially you could have a vehicle that seats 8, 9, maybe 10 passengers, and that will be developed in the near future with nice doors like this so you can get in at the same time. Another criticism that is in one of Phil Mason's, aka Thunderf00t's, video is tunnel fires. Now, the first thing that I noticed from all these pictures that he's quoting on here is these are all internal combustion engine vehicles. And I think this is more of like a simulation, this. So, not really great examples for tunnel fires, because these are all internal combustion engine vehicles. It's not great. It's not great. I'm not going to lie. So then we go to this, which is kind of, you know, Tesla Q, FUD. Oh, these Tesla vehicles, they have lots of fires, and, you know, fires happen all the time, and it's very, very, very rare. You know, you're talking maybe every few weeks we might have a fire in a Tesla, whereas internal combustion engines are, you know, burning up sort of every other day, if not more often than that in the US, probably every day, twice a day. So I don't really like that. Then he quotes, I'm really getting kind of fed up of having to explain to people that this article is total, utter rubbish. And regulations are there to protect people, but regulations can be circumvented. If you can prove that the danger is not there, and there are applications within that regulation to go around certain issues, then these kind of idiotic statements, it's not true. That these regulations do not apply to the Las Vegas loop, and they have not been applied because there's no reason to apply them. And the main reason is 2 of the stations are open air, so there's no possibility of anyone, you know, breathing in smoke. Also, in the event that a vehicle does catch fire in the tunnel, there's a massive sprinkler system, and people can, you know, just reverse the vehicles, because this, after about 20-30 seconds, this is going to put out pretty much any fire, and this thing can go for, you know, a full hour, you know, dropping gallons and gallons of water onto the car. So I'm not worried about flashovers, I'm not worried about fires, and I'm not worried about regulations that don't even apply to the Boring Company system in Las Vegas, because that article was total FUD. It was not based on reality. It was based on one person's opinion, and those regulations are not being applied, and we know they're not being applied to the loop system in Las Vegas. And they're not necessary. Why are they there? What is the point in saying they must only have 800 people when there's no risk of fire, because all the possible ways that you can eliminate the threat of fire have been taken? So anyway, it's silly. So then this comes up, and this is just silly again. I don't know what to say to this. It is quick, it is safe, it is very reliable, and it meets the capacity requirements of the Las Vegas Convention Authority. They have agreed that we want a capacity of 4,400 per hour. So the Boring Company built a system that meets the requirements. Yeah? So it's doing what the customer said. We want 4,400 per hour. The Boring Company said, here you go, here's 4,400 per hour, and we gave them that. We don't need to give them more than what they're asking for. So let's just address this. So quick, yes. Vehicles are going to be moving through the system. If you average the kind of speeds over the 0.827 miles, it's going to be in and around 54 miles per hour. If you tried to do this with a train, the average speed would be a lot less. It'd be closer to around 20. So it's more than double the speed of a train. So already, you know, we've beaten the trains with speed. We've beaten them in terms of the speed of construction, and we've beaten them in terms of the cost of the project. So I don't need to keep saying this, but I will keep saying this. This system is better than any other solution ever proposed. If you think you can make a better solution, go on, make a video about it and tell me about it, and then I can, you know, rip you to pieces. But this is the best system. A train system would cost at least $170 million, if not more than that. And it also would be quite slow, and yeah, it would take 2.5 years to build, if not longer than that. So that's that. Safe. I can absolutely guarantee you there will be no deaths, there will be no serious accidents, and there will be no serious injuries in the first 3 or 4 years of its operation. Absolutely guarantee that to you. Now, I can't guarantee that, at some point in the next 70 years there isn't going to be some kind of strange accident that happens, but there's accidents every day. 30,000 people die in road accidents in the US every kind of year. So you've got to take it into context. Is this will be safe? 99.9999% of the time. So I'm happy with that. It is safe, very, very safe. I'll stake my reputation on that and say this is the safest system using autonomous electric vehicles that has ever been constructed in the world. Reliability. The system's going to be up and running 99.988% of the time, which is great. As I confirmed before, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitor Authority asked the Boeing company to build a system that had a capacity of 4,400 per hour. This system will work in the region of 4,400 to 4,600 per hour. So it's got a good capacity. There'll be lots of people moving through the system. It'll be a high-speed system. It'll be safe, reliable. It'll use 100% renewable energy. It'll be cheap to build. And it has been cheap to build because we can look at the contract and we can see that it's coming in under $50 million. It's probably well under that now. It's probably closer to $45 million. So again, those are the facts. If you disagree with the facts, tell me in the comments below and I'll happily educate you as to why you're wrong. Yeah? So let's just summarize. The system operates at high speeds. This concern about corners being too tight is a total fallacy. Yeah, vehicles are going to be going around the system very, very fast, and any kind of idea that the system is not safe is frankly ridiculous. The Boeing company cares a lot about safety. So does Tesla. The focus is on making the system the safest system in the world for autonomous electric vehicles. Anyway, so let's compare to trains, because people keep showing me pictures of trains and saying, build a train system, this will fix it all. Well, no, we don't want to. You go build it. You go out there and build it for us, show us what you've got. Because this is what the Boeing company is going to build. If you don't like what the Boeing company is building, you go and compete with us using something else. But this is 100% private money on all future Boeing company projects. So the train versus autonomous electric vehicles. This is why I prefer autonomous electric vehicles over trains. And don't get me wrong, I like trains. Trains are great for long distance travel, yeah? So anything above 60 miles, anything less than about 400 miles is great for trains. But for short systems, you can't compete with autonomous electric vehicles. So let's have a look. I'm going to compare an LA Metro train to a Tesla Model X. So LA Metro train, 0 to 40 miles per hour is 13.24 seconds, which is quite long, but it's not too bad. It doesn't really matter too much. Tesla Model X, 3.87. So this is when I've pulled these numbers off. This includes a fully loaded train and a fully loaded vehicle. So 3.87 seconds. 40 to 80 is an amazing 21.6 seconds. A Tesla Model X is 4.92 seconds. 80 to 120 miles per hour is impossible for an LA Metro train. It can get up to about 105 miles per hour, and then that's its kind of maximum, its limiter. Tesla Model X can get up to 120, 130 miles per hour quite easily, so it's 12.17 seconds. Cost per unit, so that's 80 to 120, by the way. A train will cost 4.275 million, and that's for like a 2-3 carriage train, and that includes obviously a profit margin for the company that's manufacturing the train. So that is absolutely shockingly high. One Tesla Model X, and you can't run a system with one train. Remember, you're going to need 3. So you're going to have to do times 3 minimum. There's no like the you can spend 4.275. You can't. You're going to end up spending close to $13 million minimum just to get you going with the minimum size, and they'll probably spike it up more because you're only buying 3. The cost of a Tesla Model X, if Tesla was going to sell it and then remove the gross margin, so they're going to sell it essentially for break even, it'd be $66,500. What's the weight of an LA Metro train? So remember that's going to cause you considerable maintenance issues all the time, because you've got a lot of weight moving through your system. 46.6 tons per carriage, and remember, you might have 3 carriages, and then a Tesla Model X is 2.46 tons, so a lot less weight, a lot less cost, a lot faster, a lot more efficient, and it uses 100% electric energy. It doesn't require some very expensive overhead electrical system. Turning circle, so trains don't turn around, they stop at a station, and then the driver gets out, he walks down to the other end, he has to close his cab off, he has to close his systems down, he then has to walk to the other end, he has to open his cab, open the window, turn the system on, make his announcement, close the doors. He's lost 45, 50 seconds doing all that. But if you were to have a turning circle, it would be 162 meters. The turning circle for Tesla Model X is 10.94, so it's around 11. So yeah, autonomous electric vehicle beats a train every time. So I hope you like my video. I'd love to do a part 2. I hope Phil's up for it. Maybe he can look at my examples, specifically Walkerfold Road, and I can go around that corner at 42 miles per hour, maybe even 45 miles per hour. Maybe he's not scaled off the drawings for the Boeing company system. So if he wants to do a wager on it, fine. Also, we can do another part 2 if he wants to continue this. That is great. I'm going to get lots of views for this video, so that's fantastic. I hope you agree that the Boeing company system in Las Vegas is going to be very, very useful. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitor Authority are going to get a system that they specified, so it will achieve 4,400 per hour and a little bit more. It will be under budget, it will be fast, it will be popular with people visiting, and it will be used for all future convention centers, events at the convention center. So everyone benefits. Why people don't like it, I don't know. Probably because they lost a lot of money shorting Tesla, which is a great shame. But yeah, so let's hope that we maybe get to make another. I'm assuming that he's going to respond to this, so that's great. Let's make part 3, part 4, part 5. I can go on, for 8 months if you want to. I'm happy to do that, so that's great. Okay, thank you everyone for watching the video. Really, really appreciate that. I hope that I've been kind of very fair and unbiased in this video. Like I say again, I do like trains. I just think that they work better in certain circumstances. You think you should be investing in current infrastructure, absolutely agree. But I just think that building from scratch, what the Boeing company is building here is going to be very, very special, and is going to exceed all the performance requirements of the contract. There you go. Here are my Patreons, including my newest Patreon, Daniel. Thank you everyone who's supporting me. Really do appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much for watching today. Really do appreciate that. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and we're going to move on to the next one. Thank you everyone, and remember, don't be boring. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Excellent! This is Sparta!